for developers to publish their own games?
That's a really great question, and it's the key question in the industry right now. So I go back to 1985 when I started games, so I've seen different fashions in publishing and developer relations over 30 years. So when we first started out, the only way you signed games was you had an original IP, you worked with a publisher, they were hungry for games, and it was quite easy to get deals if your games were good. Then we went through a long period on console where it was impossible to sell original IP, it was all sequels and film tie-ins and stuff. And so everyone kind of lost the skills of how to do developer-publisher relationships with original IP. There wasn't any need to apply it, you know. And then we had the period where, from about 2008, where it was possible for people on the new digital phone formats to self-publish and to make things happen. But you know, the statistics have changed alarmingly within the last 6 or 7 years. Last year, 80% of the money that was taken by publishers was actually spent on user acquisition. So the user acquisition guys are the guys who made all the money last year, to be very clear, you know. So that really means it's a minefield of publishing. And myself, my company, Tail Studios, continues to publish Speedball on some platforms. On other platforms, we worked with other publishing partners. Our World Explorers company come back to me, so it's self-publishing. But I think that I've worked with publishers my whole life, some great publishers, some old publishers like Ocean, like Virgin, like Renegade, who turned into Warner, you know, really good companies, Codemasters and people like that. I understand the role of what publishers do, therefore I understand the roles of what I don't do or can't do very well, you know. So I think that a lot of younger companies, I spoke to a guy yesterday with a great new game, they're very fearful of working with publishers because they don't quite fully understand the language, and they have heard these horror stories about publishers. But a great developer-publisher relationship is how we put out Cannon Fodder and Sensible Soccer and Whizball and Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit and all those old games that people still remember today. They were forged from developer-publisher relationships. And what I'm seeing now is, thankfully, there are what I'd call mid-level publishers starting to emerge from the rubble of only massive studios and tiny studios. There are people looking at these mid-budgets. I'm finding with this with Social Soccer, you know, you've got a really good game, but it's not AAA Call of Duty standard presentation, but it's good, you know. It's not a tiny little iOS thing knocked out in 3 weeks either. And I think people should understand what publishers do. They do marketing. They, if you're lucky, will get an advance against your game, which helps to mitigate your risk of development. And they have the distribution platforms to put the games out into the market. Now, unless you can do all those three things, market well, finance your game, and have all the distribution connections, you need a publisher. And we can all learn. Anyone can upload an app to the App Store and say, I'm a publisher. I've been doing it 30 years, and I know I'm not a publisher. And I've had #1 games on the App Store, to be clear. That was just like early days, lucky publishing. That era has gone. It went about 3 years ago. So I think people should look forward to the future of working with some great new publishers.